yeah, we're here at the Park MGM. Kirsty's putting on a mastermind for about 25 different Amazon sellers. And so we decided to come on out here and join her for that and participate in it and watch her do some really cool, awesome coaching for people. I'm getting a lot out of it. She's having a fun time. So Kirsty, welcome to the call. Thanks so much.
Hi, yeah, great. Thanks, Mike. And hi, everyone who's listening and watching this right now. Yeah, as Mike said, we're in Las Vegas. It's a lovely sunny day. But yeah, we're working with people and just, helping them with their brands.
Yeah, so I got to know Kirsty many, many years ago. We were both starting off Amazon around the same time. She came just a little bit after me. We met up at a live event for sellers in Austin, Texas for the first time. We came down and we grabbed a coffee together, started talking about advertising on Amazon. At the time, I was doing pretty good, so I was helping her out get going. And then very quickly, she started kicking my butt on Amazon and launched her products and her brand, has done an amazing job, has an awesome story, also loves helping people. We've been on other trips together, like to Aruba with about 25, 30 people, where we spend an intensive fun weekend sharing ideas, bringing in some trainers to really go over some very high, very in-depth advanced strategies as well on Amazon. She's one of the best, brand creators out there that I've ever seen. She also knows how to teach people how to do this business and how to really build their brand, big focus on the brand, as a matter of fact. And so I want to bring her on, kind of talk about how she got started in this business, also talk about kind of where she went with it and where she's at right now. And so the first thing I'm going to go is that Kirsty, kind of tell us how, what were you doing before you decided to start selling on Amazon?
So before I started selling on Amazon, I was in a corporate job actually. And most of my career, my career was in marketing for different brands. So you might have heard of things like Pedigree, Chum, Whiskers, cat food, Durex condoms, Sensodyne toothpaste, Aquafresh toothpaste. So, probably most people have either used that or know someone who uses those types of brands and products. And I used to really enjoy it, right? What I enjoyed doing was creating the brand and also creating marketing plans around that. But what happens is that, you go up the chain and you basically lose sight of the fun stuff and you end up just managing everything, right? And so my role at that point, I was a marketing director, which sounds really fancy, but basically I was just not only bored, but I was kind of disillusioned with that corporate lifestyle, right? I just, I didn't have time to really have my own time, to go on holiday. I used to have to put it in advance, by about a year so that I could actually get it signed off. And I just didn't want that life anymore. I was like, I just don't want to be sat here doing this. I had this flash forward moment to when I was 60. And I'd be sat in the same spot, right? And just going, oh my God, what have I done with my life? I've just totally not seen it in the last 20 years. And so I just started to look for different areas and different ways to kind of build my own wealth so that I didn't have to do that anymore. And I read the 4-Hour Work Week, and that really set me on the path. So I don't know if anybody's read that. I know a lot of people have read the book, but basically it's about maximizing your time and your effort for the lifestyle that you want. So really starting with what lifestyle you want to create first, and then building wealth or building a way to be able to achieve that lifestyle around that, which I thought was really cool, because I think a lot of people are like, make this money, do this. It's like, well, great, but what am I making the money for, and how much do I actually need? So I did that, and then I did lots of other things that actually didn't bring me that lifestyle. So I started to look into real estate. I started to look into share trading. No idea how to do that, right? I just didn't feel comfortable in that space. And then what else did I do? Websites, because I thought, well, that's going to bring me closer to it, because guess what? I could do that from anywhere. But it costs a lot to drive customers to a website, and I wasn't that tech savvy. It just felt like a big mountain to climb. And then that's when I found Amazon, and I was like, oh, this makes sense, because guess what? I can just buy some stuff from China or buy it from a supplier. I can brand it myself, which is kind of what I used to do. And I can put it on Amazon without having to ever touch the product, right? I don't have to warehouse it somewhere. Amazon does that for me. And yes, I do have to pay for that, but you have to pay for a wholesaler anyway, and I don't have to manage that process. So I just love the fact that I could do that without physically having to be anywhere, because my dream was really to travel the world and, do anything that I wanted to do at any point in time that I wanted to do it. And that was really the only model, and the only model since that I've ever seen that allows you to achieve that. So that's how I ended up kind of getting into Amazon. And what I did was I did I did some training, or I learned about the opportunity, like when Mike did, and I just knew it was going to work. I just thought this is going to work, and I knew I had to make a change if I was going to be successful. For me personally, I just knew that I wanted to go all in. So what I did was I actually negotiated a redundancy, what we call a redundancy or a severance, as you guys call it, from my job, which gave me enough capital for a year, which was a great buffer for me. And I just thought, yeah, I'm all in, and I'm just going to make it work. And I moved to Bali to kind of test out the theory that, guess what, if I can I do this business from anywhere? And that's pretty much what I did. And also, it's a cheap place to live, and it's a cool place to live. I was living in Australia at the time, and it was quite close by. So I was like, that's kind of cool. And I wanted to make a change in my life so that I didn't fall into old habits as well. I wanted to I'm pretty drastic when it comes to once I'm in, and let's do it, change habits and get on with it. And I do believe some of that was part of my success as well. But for me, I needed to do that to be able to just completely change my mindset from one thing to the other thing.
That's pretty amazing. So you had this pretty good marketing job, and you decided to go all in. You quit your job, negotiated a way out. They paid for you to do that, and then you went to Bali, which is beautiful place to go to. I remember, I think you were you and I first started talking together. You were sending me pictures of dolphins that you were out on a dolphin hunt, or not a hunt, but a dolphin trip, or something like that.
Yeah.
So when you were there, you started looking for a product then. And did it take you a long time to find the first product you wanted to sell?
No, it didn't actually. I had in my head what I wanted to do. So as you said earlier, I really, there's loads of stuff you can sell on Amazon, right? And so, but for me, I didn't want to get overwhelmed with what I could sell. So I was like, okay, what do I want to think about that I would be comfortable talking about? But also that was a passion of mine. So automatically I was like, I want to be in fitness because I enjoy going to the gym. I mean, see my guns. But no, I like going to the gym. I could talk about it. I was interested in it. So that was my first port of call. I was like, I'll just look in the fitness area, and I think I could build a brand around that. And so I did that. And then my next criteria was, I don't want to spend too much on my first product because I want to make sure that I can learn and do this properly. So I wanted something with low cost of goods, and I didn't want to spend too much on my first order. So I gave myself a budget, and I was like, okay, I'm comfortable to spend say $2,000 on my first order and just learn from that, right? So am I prepared to take that 2,000, spend it, and not get any profit back from it? That was my criteria in my head, because I was like, I just want to manage the risk. And I was like, yeah, I'm comfortable doing that, so I'll do that. And then I found a product that fit that niche, that met that criteria. And that also, the other thing I wanted to think about was how much money would I get back from it if it was successful. And so then I thought, how much profit margin do I want to make? And I just made sure that those numbers worked, and then I just went for it.
That's awesome. So you're picking your first product. Did you find this product by just going to Alibaba? Is that where you found it at the first time, or you go some other route?
I actually went to Amazon itself and just had a look on Amazon, and just started to look at what kind of demand it had for that product, and there's ways to do that, right? So I just kind of did that, and found that this particular product was, had a great margin, had a great demand, and I felt like I could compete in that area.
So what was the product selling for on Amazon?
It was selling right then. It was selling at $19.99. Yeah.
And then how much did each unit cost you to buy?
$1.50.
Okay, so the profit margin was pretty good. Absolutely.
Yes, and that was actually it was a bit less than that. It was $1.50 with the shipping in with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so you knew the customer you wanted. You're in the fitness. You found a product. You found, had potential for really good profit margin. Did you do any kind of like really crazy fancy packaging for it?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I literally put it in a poly bag because I wanted to keep the cost down. And the way I saw it working was, coming from a physical product background, I suppose, but I just did it with massive budgets. That wasn't my money. Um, the packaging a physical product at retail is very important, right? Because that's the way that people are going to find you. They're going to go to the shelf. They're going to see that packaging. They're going to pick it off the shelf. But on Amazon, it's not like that. On Amazon, it's your listing that looks the best, right? It's when you think about shopping on Amazon, you type something in and you find some products, and your eye is drawn to the product that it stands out to you, the image that stands out to you. So that's the way I thought of it. I was like, the listing is going to be the thing that's going to sell, not necessarily the packaging. So I can afford to scale back on that so I can have a better profit margin. So I literally did like a poly bag, because it was a small product, with like a header card on the top of it, which is where my branding would be, and that was it.
And did your product have any logos on or anything?
Yes, it did. I did put a logo on the product where I could fit it. It was quite a small product, yeah, but
But
I
just
did
a pretty simple, was it just like a white logo or something like that?
white
Or
logo, just a white printed logo. That's it, exactly.
awesome. So now I did in the description for this, when anyone was joining us right now, if you saw, I mentioned that Kirsty did one thing that you should ever, 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 ever do when launching a product on Amazon. So Kirsty, share with everyone how we all do things that make mistakes for us. And not that it was a mistake, it worked out for you, but like, what did you
Yeah.
choose to do with your first product?
Well, I didn't see it before I actually sent it. Because yeah, it was weird. I was in Bali and I was traveling around, so I didn't have one fixed address. So I was like, okay, well, by the time it gets here, I've probably moved. It just looked good on the pictures. I was like, yeah, that's cool. Listen, I would never do that now, but yeah, I did. It worked out, and I put it on Amazon. I did, I created the listing, and then I remember selling two. As soon as I put the listing up, I sold two that day. And yeah, and I was like, oh, this is going to work. Now after that, I sold nothing for a few days, and then I sold a few more, but as soon as I'd sold one product, I knew it was going to work. Like, it was literally, yeah, this, I'd need to put some more effort into it, obviously, make it consistent. But that was the kind of great moment for me. I was like, yeah, I sold one product, I can do this again. Like, I just need to keep working at it.
Awesome. That was your validation, getting sales right away. And
Yeah.
so talk a little bit about, well, first off, like I said, we recommend everyone checks out their sample at least and holds it and feels it and makes sure it's okay. But I guess if you're in Bali, living there, you can make an exception there.
Yeah.
But so Kirsty, you sold a few products, going early on. What was the ramp up process like for this first product?
So the ramp up process was, when we first, when we first started, we were just kind of figuring out what would help that basically the rush of sales, right? And so once I kind of worked out that I needed to sell, guess funny enough, right? I needed to sell more to be able to create more sales, because basically the way that Amazon's algorithm, for want of a better term, works is, it's like Google, right? If you want to type something in and then you get all the search results that come up, those are the most popular search results that people are searching for. And that's what I figured out on Amazon. That's the way that I needed to do it. And at the time, a lot of people were teaching about, having to do Facebook ads and Google ads and all sort of stuff. And I just was like, I don't want to do any of that stuff. And I thought, well, why did I start the business on Amazon? Because people are shopping on Amazon. So I was like, I'm just going to focus on the things that I can control, that I'm comfortable with, that makes sense to me on Amazon. So what I did was make sure that I got, great words that people are searching for, make sure that that's in the listing itself. And then also how to use tools on Amazon, so promotional tools, advertising tools, that type of thing, and just get good at those things. And because I really focused in on that, then that's what really started to catapult me even further. So I think once I got overwhelmed and was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? All these things. And I was like, hang on, I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to focus on these couple of things. then that's when it really started to take off for me. That process probably took me about 3 months for the product to really fly. And then I came to set like a where we met actually, Mike, in
Yeah, the seller, I could kind of like a SellerCon event, I guess we'll call it.
yeah, like a SellerCon event. And listened to a few people there that really resonated with what I wanted to achieve, and they gave a few tips, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to go away and implement these straight away. And that took it, I mean, at the time I was doing 30 units a day on this one product, and just implementing those couple of things, like, I just ramped up to like 70 and 100 units a day, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this. And what it made me feel like is, okay, if I can do this with one product, if I just did this with four, like where would my business be, and what would my life be like? And so I just literally said, if I'm going to launch 4 products over this period, and I didn't even know what products I was going to sell. I was just like, if I just repeated the same thing and I took the lower end of 30 units a day at a certain price point, I realized that I could have $1 million business in 12 months. And
that's amazing. And
yeah.
so what was it like? So 12 months later, what were you doing on Amazon?
Yeah, well, in less than that, in 10 months, I was doing $1 million. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And that was with 3 products. But what I did was I diversified, and I basically started off selling in the US market. And then I took those products and sold them in the UK market. So essentially I had just 3 products, but in 2 marketplaces. So I was kind of like doubling the effort, if you like, in terms of the sales itself. So I wasn't doubling the effort in terms of sourcing. I was just selling on different platforms. And that's how I managed to really grow the business.
And so for sourcing your second and third products, were you able to use your same supplier for those other products?
Yeah, well, I have now. What I thought was a good idea, I was like, well, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, so I'll use another supplier from my first product. And I really stuffed that up. Like, I didn't really know what I was doing. Like, the first one I flew in, the second one I needed to ship it. But when you fly product to Amazon, for some reason it miraculously just gets there without you worrying about customs or anything. But shipping, it got stuck in customs, and I didn't know how to get it out. And you actually helped me get it out, because I remember just panicking, going, because the supplier just sent it there, didn't give me any direction. So anyway, we got over that hurdle, because there's lots of problems in business, and we get over it, right? Because we have got a great community. So I got over that hurdle, but then even the quality wasn't as good. So I was like, yeah, I'll go back to the first supplier, because they can supply pretty much everything that I want to sell in this niche. And if they can't supply it, they'll find someone that can. So now what I do is I just work with that one supplier, and they're more like an agent, if you like, but a high-end agent that will find the right products for me. But it just makes my life a lot simpler and a lot easier to just work with one specific
Yeah, that is all. That's a great lesson learned, because you're right. Because it may sound, and it could be actually a good business idea to have multiple suppliers in case one of them ever fails you and you have someone to go back with. But working with one supplier that you get to know, you guys were talking about this just today and a little bit in the training here. You have a lot of advantages that way, because you build a relationship, you get better pricing and terms with them later on, because you give them all that business. It doesn't mean you still can't have someone in the back pocket if you need them. But that's a really smart thing to go and do that, Kirsty.
Yeah, and you can, like you said, you can build relationships. You can get better payment terms, so you don't have to pay for all your stock up front. And then as you work with them, one thing I do particularly is I'll do a forecast for the whole year. Like, I'll say, this is how much I'm going to sell of this product, and I'd love you to give me a price that enables me to be more competitive, so that I can bring you the volume that you want. And that has worked really well. Yeah.
So I'm gonna like repeat that just to make sure that everyone understands that. So one of your, like, I'll call it a secret negotiating strategy, is to forecast, show them what you think you can do the entire year.
Yeah.
So they see this huge volume, realistic but huge volume that they could be getting. And in order to do that, if they give you better pricing terms, then you are able to do that and make them more successful too.
Yeah, exactly. So we call it like the win-win. Win for me is I'm going to get better cost of goods and better margin. Win for them is that they're going to guarantee almost like I mean, you don't pay for it, of course, but you're saying to them, I'm going to be able to, buy more product from you in the future. And that works really well.
Yeah, if anyone here is watching and you're not selling on Amazon yet, or you are selling on Amazon, write that tip down. That's a really smart strategy for getting better pricing right out of the gate. Probably not for your very first order. Like, don't be unrealistic. We're not going to tell you that. Your first order is to get your supplier to know you, to recognize you, to see that you have potential. But shortly after that, once they realize that you are going to be a big brand, that's when you can start really going in there and doing these very simple negotiating strategies that Kirsty does and really build your business quickly.
Yeah.
So you mentioned already that you went international. So so your first way of expanding was, I guess, launching your second and third products. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then how soon was it then you decided to go and sell in the UK market?
It was actually after my second product. That's when I decided to go into the UK market. And then I launched the third one in the US, and then I launched them all into Germany after that. So the first one would be about 6 months, and then I launched into Germany another 3 months after that. So the first 9 months of the business, I was in 3 marketplaces.
That's pretty crazy. That's
Yeah.
very aggressive, but very, very doable. Hats off to you for doing that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So Kirsty, one of the things that I really love one of the reasons I want to bring you on it as well, not only because you're like just incredibly successful and helpful, you love helping people, but you have a really unique take on how to focus on the brand and the customer. And I know there's lots of different ways to go out there and find your first product. As a matter of fact, so in the first video for the Amazing Selling Machine free training series that everyone's seen so far. Hopefully, if you haven't seen it yet, I'll give you a link afterwards to go out there and watch our free training. It's a 4-part training series, completely free. First 2 videos have been released. That first video teaches you how to go out there and find a product using specific criteria, 5 criteria that we give, all about the BSR, the price range, the reviews, the weight, and also to make sure that you can private label it. Kirsty has a unique viewpoint on this. And that's why I want to bring her on, because there's not one single way to do this business. There's several different ways, but her viewpoint on what to really think of gives you a different perspective on trying to find your product. So Kirsty, talk a little bit about what you look for when you're trying to figure out your product.
Yeah. So the first thing I'm always thinking about is who's actually going to buy these types of products, right? And generally what I work with people on is to say, this is going to be a great business for you. You want to be working in this business and you want to enjoy working in this business. Now, again, this is not for everyone, but the majority of people want to have fun and they want to essentially spend some time, working with the customer. So it always helps if you actually like the customers that you're going to get, right? It also helps if potentially, it's something that you're passionate about. Now, it doesn't have to be like a massive passion or anything, but for me, I just enjoyed going to the gym. I was like, yeah, I could easily go into that area. And I start with what we call like a positioning statement, right? So I'm thinking about who are these people that are going to buy a brand, complementary products around a brand, because I know that when I'm starting this business, I'm not just going to sell one product, right? Over time, I want to be selling a lot more products. So I need to be able to think of a brand that essentially, or a customer that will buy more and more of my products. So for instance, if I was just going to go in and do product research and just go, I'm going to sell a lamp, and then I'm going to sell a bike and a bike pump, and then I'm going to sell some shoes, right? Then you can't imagine that that's going to be a brand that people can connect to. So I mentioned earlier about, Sensodyne toothpaste. The reason people buy Sensodyne toothpaste is because everyone has sensitive teeth and they want to be able to drink and eat the foods they love. By having sensitive teeth, it just means that they can't do that anymore. And so the brand Sensodyne solves that problem. And there's lots of different products underneath that brand, right? All for people with sensitive teeth. So that's the kind of that take is like, who is most likely to, who's the kind of customer that I want to sell to? If I want to sell fitness stuff, who is the people that I'm most likely going to sell to? And for me, that was people that are already at the gym. They're probably into CrossFit. They're highly engaged in the actual in the fitness activity itself, not people who maybe be a bit overweight and want to lose some weight. And the reason I went down that route was the fact that I just felt that those customers would be more likely to buy the products versus people that just might dip in and out and not really connect with the brand. And so I built a brand around that ideal client. So for instance, my brand is called Master of Muscle. So you can imagine, hardcore gym junkies that love going to the gym. They probably go, 4 or 5 times a week, and it's a passion, it's a way of life for them. And so they want to connect to a brand that they feel can talk to them in that way.
So pretty much me, right? I'm your.
Yeah, I can see by your guns there, Mike. Yeah. But it's not alienating you, right? Because you might see that brand and go, oh wow, this is for real people that are into this stuff, and you might feel like you want to get into it, and so therefore you're going to trust that brand more than say someone who's just like just wishy-washying, maybe you want to lose some weight, maybe not, because you're going to say, yeah, real hardcore people do that, and I want to get to that level at some point, right? You might not be there now, but you want to connect with that brand. And so that's what we do and help people do, isn't it? Is to think about their ideal client first. And what it does, it really helps you focus on where you're going to start researching for products, because there's so much stuff you can sell on Amazon. That's the beauty of this business. But then where people get stuck is that they so overwhelmed with what they could sell that they don't actually sell anything in the end, right? Because they're like, oh, I can't make a decision. So, a great way if you're just going through product training right now is to filter it first and say, what kind of area would I like to sell to? Who's the type of people that might want to buy this product? And then you can start searching for products in that specific area versus saying, yeah, I'm just going to go wide, and you'll probably chase your tail a lot and never get anywhere.
That's brilliant advice. You can really combine the strategies together. So think about who it is you want to sell to, then go into Amazon. They have the categories. Pick those categories out, kind of drill down into them, and then use what we're teaching you in the first video to start looking for products that have great potential in there. What a great way to blend those two together. Before we get to our last question for you, Kirsty, I want to say hello to some people. We have lots of people on the call today. Hello, everyone. Grace, hello. Annette Lundquist, Magdalena, Roseanne is actually my freight forwarder from Chicago. So hello. Ram, just so you guys know, I'm always willing to share everything about my business. I use Ram International, also kind of a part of a company called Flat World, as our freight forwarder. They make my life incredibly easy. They do awesome business. They're one of the freight forwarders that we recommend. So hello, I'm glad she's joining us here today. There's Grace again. Karen Baker is watching from New Zealand. There's Hitesh. Hello again, Hitesh. We've seen you several times. Love having you on here. We do have a question for you, as a matter of fact. One sec, let me try to scroll down here. Let's see who the question. Grace is asking, do you have to sell one niche on Amazon? Hold on a second, kind of getting here. Got to scroll up here. Or are you able to create multiple brands on Amazon?
You are able to create multiple brands, but what we would recommend you do is just stick to one brand. I mean, I've sold over nearly $18 million now on Amazon in 6 years with one brand. So, for me, trying to diversify in terms of branding so much, right, especially right in the beginning, it just completely diversifies your focus, so you don't know what you're doing, right? And so that's why we always try and say, focus on one brand, understand it deeply, understand your ideal client, like really deeply, because you're just going to get better and better. What you don't want to do is add more time into your day. You want to take time out of your day, right? That's the whole point of this business. So learn it, get in there, and then it becomes automatic. You can then start to outsource a lot of stuff, so you actually have a life. And that's what I did. I mean, within the first year, my business was pretty much automated. And what I do now is I work with my team, and then they do most of the work, and I'm just kind of checking it off. That's where you want to. So we can do fun stuff like this, right, Mike?
Exactly.
So that's where you want to be aiming for. You're not going to do that from day one, but don't overcomplicate your life when you don't need to do it.
Yeah, and that's, again, I keep saying this, but that's brilliant advice. With this business, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of ways to do things, but starting off, focus on one product, focus on one brand, focus on one platform, that's Amazon, and focus on one type of traffic or advertising, and that's also Amazon. They give you all the tools that you could need for forever if you wanted to really get targeted people to buy your products. And then when you want to, you can, of course, and you will want to launch more products. You can think about more brands. You can think about launching on other Amazon platforms, other countries, and you can think about getting traffic from hundreds of sources out there. But keep it simple. That's what we're all here for. We're here to build a business, not a job. We want to be able to do things like this. I get to hang out with all these awesome people because I get to travel. Kirsty, Isaac, Jason, Matt are all here this week. We get to go to really cool places. Kirsty and I actually met people, like I said, in Aruba, hung out. We probably worked half the time. The other time was just networking,
Yeah.
singing on stage, rolling around in the sand. There's just all kinds of fun things that this business really does open up so many different opportunities. But you first got to get started. Got to find that first product, get it selling, learn, spend the time to really master this, and then start bringing in other people to the business. You can really open up the freedom of this business. And speaking of all of those little things I'm kind of rambling on about, the last thing I want to ask you, Kirsty, for everyone here who's watching, who hasn't started building their business yet, or maybe they just did, who are thinking about an Amazon-based business, what advice would you give to them as the next step to take?
So the next step to take was, I would say, watch the product selection videos. So this is the new training that's coming out this week, is it, Mike? Or they've already got that?
Product selection's already out. We actually had supplier sourcing yesterday. Monday, we're coming out with how to launch your product on Amazon. And then following Wednesday, we'll have them taking your business to the next level and accelerating everything.
Great. So just, what I would do is, you've got the product selection video already there. Just have a think about what kind of area that you feel like, yeah, I could really like to talk about these things. Or if you've got a passion, put that lens on it and just check out some opportunities on Amazon. Just kind of see, where the opportunities are. And then think to yourself, yeah, I mean, how much is, you've got your supplier then training video, and just quickly check that out. What would it take for me? What would be my budget if I was going to do this business? And that way you can get to, understand, number one, how to find the products, but then number two, how much it's going to cost you. And then seriously think to yourself, do I want to make a change in my life? Do I want to do something different? Do I want to build something different for me? And if that is you, then just really start to think about, well, which area would I go into first, and which product would I like to sell, and just get excited about the opportunity. Because once you've seen the numbers, once you've seen, oh, this is how I can find products, and this is how I can find a supplier, the next part is then just to kind of, it's a mind shift for yourself to go, this is actually something that I can do, and prepare to do it. Build up a budget and say how much you would prepare to invest and spend in the business, and get it going.
That is brilliant advice. Before we get going here, Kirsty, I want to thank you for spending time here. I know you have people downstairs waiting to come learn more from you. If you're watching this right now and you enjoyed hearing from Kirsty and her advice on the business and everything, please drop a quick note here and let us know what you think of it. Thank Kirsty. I want to thank Kirsty personally. I always enjoy hearing you share your stories of inspiration and tactical and strategy information. I pick up a lot on this. I've been selling for a little bit longer than Kirsty, but every time I listen to her, I learn something new. So I'm so thankful for her friendship and for her mentorship in this business as well. So Kirsty, thank you very much. I'm going to let you get going back downstairs. I want to remind everyone watching this Facebook Live session, remember, we're here every Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Central Time. If you want to get notified every time that we go live, go to Amazing.com. We'll drop that link also here into the comments. And if you want to go check out the free training for any reason you haven't yet, go to AmazingLiveNow.com/free. You'll get right into the 4 free training video series. Like I said, it's completely free. We have an awesome tool for free that helps you do the product selection. That'll tell you how much revenue each of the products on Amazon are selling, the reviews, the weight, all kinds of different things. You can filter using the tool to really get down to the perfect criteria. We have downloads you can get for contacting suppliers, for also doing a listing optimization, what to look for in your listing, like the title and the images, all kinds of free stuff. Everything there on those 4-part video series is completely free. You don't got to enter a credit or anything. Just go there, watch them, learn, be ready for the next videos to come out, start thinking about this business, start getting excited about the potential, just like Kirsty's talking about, realizing that this can change your life. Kirsty, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm gonna let you just kind of say goodbye to everyone.
Bye, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. And then everyone else, thanks so much for joining us on the Million Dollar Brands Live. And I hope to see everyone Monday. We won't be here over the weekend. We're going to be here in Vegas, actually working. And then we'll be back in the amazing office in Austin on Monday, 3 p.m. Central. So everyone have a great, fantastic weekend. And I'll see you all on Monday.